Big changes are coming to Old Trafford. Ruben Amorim takes charge at Manchester United, sells 8 players, signs 4 new stars, and shakes things up with big decisions on Andre Onana and Joshua Zirkzee. Plus, a Marcus Rashford moment that could lead to a shock Aston Villa move? Let's break it all down. Ruben Amorim refuses to rule out Manchester United signing new goalkeeper. Ruben Amorim has refused to rule out the possibility of Manchester United moving for a new goalkeeper in the summer. The men revealed in January that Amorim is eyeing a new keeper, and current number 1 Andre Onana has endured a chastening second season at the club. The 29-year-old was rested for the 4-1 defeat at Newcastle United after he was culpable for both of Lions' goals in United's 2-2 Europa League quarter-final first-leg draw. Altay Bayındır deputised for Onana at St James Park and underperformed on his Premier League debut. United spent £47.2 million to sign Onana from Inter Milan in July 2023, but the Cameroon international has made several high-profile mistakes. Bayındır, 27, is also expected to be sold this summer 2 years on from his £4.3 million arrival from Fenerbahce. Third choice, keeper Tom Heaton is expected to retire at the end of the season, so United could be in the market for 2 goalkeepers. We need to improve, Amorim replied when asked if he wants to sign a new goalkeeper. We cannot look to the team of Manchester United and say we are in this position in the league. We have been really underperforming this season, and you cannot change all the players. What we should do is to improve any position on the team with the players that we have and try and bring different characteristics from them next year. You choose the question, I choose the answer. We need to improve every position on the field. Goalkeeper is the same. We can work with Andre. If our team scores more goals, is more dangerous on the forwards and the strikers, we will defend better. Onana will defend better. Andre Onana already proved he is a top player with Inter, Altay the same with Fenerbahce. Sometimes you have some seasons where we are underperforming. If any player is underperforming and you have to change everything, that is not the process that we need now. We are going to make that evaluation on signings for any position in the squad. If we are talking about mistakes, you can see my record. My record is the worst one in the team. I am also underperforming, and I think I am the right guy to coach the team. So I think the same for Andre to be in goal. Managing Man United as Ruben Amorim sells 8 and signs 4 to kickstart new era. Manchester United are set to make some major changes this summer, with Ruben Amorim looking to ship out a number of players and bring in some fresh faces to revamp his squad. Manchester United are set for a huge summer in the transfer window as Ruben Amorim looks to overhaul his underperforming squad. United currently sit 14th in the Premier League and will need to make some major signings this summer. Mirror Football understands that United believe they can raise around £200 million by cashing in on current first-team players as well as saving up to £80 million a year on wages. Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Antony and Tyrell Malacia are all currently out on loan, but are expected to be sold. They are also open to selling Andre Onana, Casemiro and Alejandro Garnacho, while they could cash in on Kobbie Mainoo amid a contract standoff. Christian Eriksen, Victor Lindelof, Johnny Evans and Tom Heaton are also expected to leave when their deals expire at the end of the season, although Evans and Heaton could move into coaching roles. That will give Amorim some money to spend on new recruits, with United's chief executive Omar Barada confirming last month that they will back the manager in the transfer market. We're making some big efforts to get us in the best financial position. Even if we're outside of Europe, I think we will be in a position to invest in the squad, Barada told TNT Sports. So how might United find themselves lining up next season if all goes to plan over the summer? Here, Mirror Football takes a closer look at some of those being linked. Goalkeeper and defense. Andre Onana was recently dropped after making a string of mistakes, while deputy Altay Bayındır also made an error in United's 4-1 defeat to Newcastle on Sunday. As a result, the Red Devils are expected to sign a new goalkeeper this summer, and The Sun are reporting that they are interested in Aaron Ramsdale. Ramsdale has just been relegated with Southampton, and the ex-Arsenal stopper would surely jump at the chance to return to the top flight. Amorim is expected to stick with his back five system, and Everton defender Jared Branthwaite is reportedly among United's top targets. Branthwaite could slot in alongside Lenny Yoro and Matthijs de Ligt, while Lisandro Martinez, Harry Maguire, and Aiden Heaven provide cover. January signing Patrick Dorga will likely continue as Amorim's first-choice left wing-back, with Nasser Mazraoui on the right and Diogo Dalot and Luke Shaw providing cover. Midfield. Bruno Fernandes has been United's best player once again this season, and he has impressed in a slightly deeper role at times, meaning he could line up alongside Manuel Ugarte in the heart of midfield. Ahmad was also enjoying an impressive campaign under Amorim until he suffered an ankle injury in February, and the 22-year-old is expected to slot straight back into the starting lineup as soon as he is. Marcus Rashford moment shows why Aston Villa must sign exiled Man United star. Unai Emery and his squad face a massive few weeks in the Premier League and FA Cup, and the owners will then have a big summer ahead of them in the transfer market. There is a trick that tells you Marcus Rashford is full of confidence, enjoying his football and reveling in his ability to cause chaos in opposition defenses. He dawdles slightly on the ball, inviting an opponent to rush in and dispossess him. And then, in a blur of fast feet, he either flicks the ball past or through his adversary and is gone. Often it is a nutmeg. In his pomp, Rashford was the king of the nutmeg. If you believe a stat from one of the more obscure stat keepers, he is the all-time Premier League nutmegger. Sometimes it can happen so fast it is hard in real time to tell if it is a nutmeg or not. And that was the case at the start of his wondrous assist for Ezri Konsa in Aston Villa's second leg win over Paris Saint-Germain. It turns out Fabian Ruiz was not technically nutmegged, but the PSG midfielder was still embarrassed by Rashford. In that sort of mood, Rashford is unplayable. Apart from leaving every observer wondering why on earth Unai Emery took him off when there was almost 20 minutes of the game left, Rashford's performance in the second half against PSG gave a simple equation to the Villa board. If you want to take the next step, the step into the modern elite, do what you can to make the Rashford deal permanent. It goes without saying that a huge few weeks lie ahead for Villa. 6 Premier League games to try and secure a Champions League place for next season and an FA Cup semi-final. And an even bigger summer awaits. Rashford, 27, has not been consistently brilliant since he made the loan move from Manchester United, far from it. But he ran PSG ragged in a 25-minute burst, and there are signs that Emery, despite that bizarre substitution, could be the coach to help Rashford rediscover his consistency. And for Villa, as a club, it would be a statement signing. Rashford still represents a statement signing. It would, by the way, be a fantastic move for the player himself. If he can be pardoned that decision after 75 minutes of the heartbreaking win over PSG, Emery clearly has the sort of faith in Rashford's character and qualities that Ruben Amorim does not. And Rashford would be committing his future to a team that is showing signs it can become a season-by-season major force. As a club, that is the next step for Aston Villa. If the days of the old Big Six are numbered, Villa need to be part of any new Big Six or any new big whatever. They need to be back in the established elite. In terms of ambitious ownership, a solid coaching and management group, excellent infrastructure, great academy setup, they face Manchester City in the FA Youth Cup final early next month, well-balanced first-team squad, the foundations are there. Manchester United make decision on Andre Onana and give Major Joshua Zirkzee update. Andre Onana came out of the Man United side against Newcastle, but Altay Bayındır conceded 4 goals at St. James Park. Manchester United head coach Ruben Amorim has confirmed Andre Onana will start in their Europa League quarter-final second leg against Lyon, but Joshua Zirkzee is out for the rest of the season. Onana was culpable for both of Lyon's goals in the 2-2 first-leg draw last week, having billed United as way better than the French club days before the tie. Lyon midfielder Nemanja Matic responded by branding Onana one of the worst goalkeepers in the history of Manchester United. Amorim rested Onana for the 4-1 defeat at Newcastle United on Sunday, and backup goalie Altay Bayındır was at fault for the hosts' 4th goal. Onana was told before the Newcastle match he was due to be recalled against Lyon this week. Goalkeeping coaches Jorge Vital and Craig Mawson were consulted by Amorim, but he stressed he made the final decision. I just think first of all as a coach and also as a former player, I try to do things that can help a player in this situation, Amorim explained. So sometimes we talk about managing players physically, we have to manage them also mentally, but they have to return to competition. Onana is ready. He had one weekend that I felt it was better for him to not play and a good thing for Altay to play, and this week my thinking was to put Onana to play. Of course, the staff is not just to be there. Of course I have conversations, and then I have my feeling as a coach, as a former player, I try to imagine the game. Because they are defending at home but have different characteristics, so I make the evaluation the same way I make for the other players. The other players, the way we want to play is more with me. Of course, Craig and Vital have a huge impact on my decision. I have the conversation, but it is my decision in the end. I have that feeling. If not, I think about the team. Andre deserves to return to competition. I'm just thinking about the game is really important for us. Amorim acknowledged Onana could be under greater pressure having come out of the team at the weekend. That is not just the dilemma, this is the big factor on being a coach. Everything you do has two ways. If he is going to be really good tomorrow, I am sure of that, but if it is the other way, people will say it is a bad decision. We never know. I am trying to be clear on things, try to make the evaluation be really simple, not overthinking. When I imagine the game, I see Andre Onana. He had 1 weekend of rest, now he is ready to return to competition, and I chose Andre to start this game. When I made that decision, I talked before with Andre, and that is important for me to explain to the player to understand what I am thinking. Sometimes the player is saying one thing and I understand it's a different thing, sometimes it is my feeling is A.